Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. So now I want to go over my one phrase takeaways for each NFL game. So now that we had a spectacular Monday Night Football game between Buffalo and Tennessee, so let's get started with the Thursday Night Football game between Tampa Bay and Philly. The Brady Special. Brady did what he wanted on offense, going 34 for 42, which is 81% completion percentage, 297 yards, two touchdowns. I really haven't seen one terrible game from him so far this season. I mean, you can say the Rams game was terrible for him, but I wouldn't really say that was a terrible game for him specifically. It's just a bad team game overall. But I mean, he's playing really well right now. It's crazy that he's doing this at the age of 44. Miami versus Jacksonville. Don't trust Tua. So 4th and 1 near midfield. Since Tua is not athletic and can't run, and you don't want to re-injure him, instead of throwing the ball, Brian Flores decided he just wanted to hand off the ball to the running back who got stuffed. If I'm a Miami's fan, that's not a good sign. If I'm Tua himself or a Dolphin fan, that Brian Flores doesn't trust him there. Green Bay versus Chicago. I own you. Aaron Rodgers, when he ran for that touchdown to kind of seal the deal. Chicago's fans were heckling him. He's like, I still own you, all that. And it's true. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has only lost 5 times in his career to Chicago. He wins pretty much every single year against them, whether it be at home or on the road. Cincinnati versus Detroit. Emotionally spent. Detroit has had heartbreak after heartbreak. And I think as a team, or at least for some of the members on the team, I think they just couldn't take it anymore. So it's like once they got down, it's like, yeah, okay, let's just mail it in, so that we don't make a comeback and then fall up short like we have been doing. So that's at least my theory there. But since he's a good team, this is, I mean, based off the games we've seen previously from Detroit, this is a game where they could typically, not make it closer than it was. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from this against a hard Rams team next week. Houston versus Indy. Move to the rhythm. So I said after the Ravens loss, I did like how the offense for the Colts was moving at a good pace and all that. Because at the beginning of the season, it was kind of like hot and cold, very consistent, especially with all the injuries. Carson was not being 100%, but now they're starting to get in the flow. T.Y. Hilton's now back. So Carson Wentz getting a little more healthier. So it's kind of flowing and flowing. So now they can still keep themselves in the division race with Tennessee. L.A. Rams versus New York Giants. That's on you, Judge. So Joe Judge says Jones was doing good in practice and on track to start. It appears that was a lie, or Daniel Jones just literally screwed up. But either way you had it, I mean, Daniel Jones, whether he was completely fine from that concussion that he sustained last week or not, he clearly shouldn't have been starting, throwing 3 picks and fumbling a couple times. So he's not. So this is pretty interesting to see now. Because originally we're like, okay, this is not a Daniel Jones issue. There's just other injury issues or issues in general with the Giants, like their line or something like that. But now after that bad game, it's like, okay, maybe this is Daniel Jones issues. So we'll kind of see if Daniel Jones gets back and is turning the ball over a lot, or he can kind of pick himself back up and start taking care of the ball again. Kansas City versus Washington. Big time defense. If it wasn't for a busted coverage, Washington would have even scored a touchdown this game. This defense got stops when they needed it, and with the Chiefs having 3 turnovers, I mean, it made it difficult for the defense. But whatever changes were made on defense worked, at least for this game. We'll see if it continues or not. Minnesota versus Carolina. The Carolina Blues. After a 3-0 start, Panthers are in a slump now, losing 3 straight. Carolina was lucky this was even close and went to overtime. That's kind of bad Vikings there, but Panthers are showing that their O-line is just too much to overcome, and that the team is too Christian McCaffrey dependent, because without him, they don't play well at all, whether it was last year or this year. LA Chargers versus Baltimore. A sophomore slump. Even though Herbert is talented as a sophomore, he still will experience some highs and lows, like you do as a rookie. It's just not going to be well, at least it shouldn't be as much as a rookie, but you're still going to experience those every once in a while. So that's why I'm not going to panic after Herbert having a horrible game here, especially when you're Pacific time zone team playing 1 o'clock Eastern. That's never ideal. So no reason to start panicking yet. Arizona versus Cleveland. Can't call out the refs this time. Baker, after last game when the loss against the Chargers, called out the refs. Which I mean the refs did miss some calls and they were bad and all that, but in this game you can't call out the refs because I mean Baker got outplayed and the Arizona just clearly dominated Cleveland without their head coach who was out because of COVID. So not and with all the injuries that popped up, it's not looking good for Mayfield Browns. Las Vegas versus Denver, a mile low. So Denver has lost three games now after having started the season 3-0. This loss stings more because it's a home game against a big division huge rival, but it also gets an inter head coach, and Vegas coming out 2 losses of their own. So I mean, Bridgewater throwing 3 picks is not going to cut it. If he's throwing 3 picks, and he's no better than Drew Lock at this point. Remember, I said because of the schedule, the Broncos would start off 3-0 against Jags and Jets and Giants, and then they would have like a 6 or 7 game stretch where it's going to be very tough. So if Bridgewater continues to slump and they can't figure out a way to at least get over 500, then like I said, Vic Fangio will be on the hot seat. Dallas versus New England. Just be thankful to be lucky. So the Cowboys, had an interception in the red zone, first and goal at the 1 that they couldn't, punch in, missed field goal, and over 10 plus penalties. It was a messy game, but the really good teams find the ways to overcome that and just luck out into a win, and that's what happened with the Cowboys there. Seattle versus Pittsburgh. Steal a win. Yes, Pittsburgh at home should have played better, and this game shouldn't have gone to overtime when you're playing the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. However, a win's a win, and then they're a tough division. They need all the wins they can get. Buffalo versus Tennessee. A Titanic stop. So 4th and inches, it looked like Buffalo's probably going to convert that and then go on the way to score a touchdown, win the game. But Tennessee got the huge stop there thanks to Josh Allen stumbling. And it's a big win for Tennessee to not only keep themselves ahead by 2 games in their division race, but also kind of like, win 4 games, win the last 4 out of 5 games and kind of, build momentum as the season continues to go on, and especially going to the Chiefs game next week. So also what I want to do real quick is I want to go over my top 10 NFL power rankings. So let's see. So number 1, I'm obviously going to go with the undefeated team here in Arizona. They clearly, well, there's definitely flaws. Like there's not like they're perfect. I mean, they continue to play well, continue to do enough. I mean, they won at Cleveland by a lot without their head coach, and now, sorry, and now they traded for Zach Ertz, which is going to be another big piece for their already unstoppable offense. So I like the direction they're going. Now, I don't believe Arizona's going to go undefeated the whole season. I clearly do not believe that. It's very hard to do that. In fact, that they might even lose more than 1-2 games, but I feel like at this point, they might be the new favorites now to get that number 1 seed. We'll see. 2, you got the LA Rams at 5-1. I mean, their only loss was to undefeated Arizona. Otherwise, they've beaten a lot of other people's, even good teams like Tampa Bay. So I'm going to go ahead, and I still think they're a very good team overall. I mean, they're very dynamic on offense, and their defense, can be inconsistent at times. I'll admit that, but I mean, I feel like when it comes down to Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald can get the job done. So I feel like they're still the best second overall team. And then the third best overall team is right behind them with Tampa Bay, who lost to the Rams. Now their only issue though is that they have a bunch of injuries in the secondary, so they're exposed there. But luckily for Tampa, they're going to be playing a lot of bad or very mediocre teams in their schedule. There's not going to be a lot of hard opponents left. The schedule makers definitely gave them an easier route to try to get a 1 seed in the conference. So that's good for them. But as long as they continue to win, they'll continue to be a top 5 team. 4th, I'm going to go with Baltimore. And for me, they jumped Dallas here. Not necessarily because Dallas, had a squeak by against New England, but because Baltimore has looked better. And I mean, they just dominated the Chargers, who I think is a top 10 type of team. And before the loss was kind of a top 5 type of team, in my opinion. So they're a very good team. And again, they're doing this with just Lamar Jackson, basically because of all the injuries they've suffered over throughout the season and preseason. So the Baltimore Ravens are definitely looking good once again. And then 5th, I'm going to go with Dallas here. I don't believe Dak's calf injury will be too serious. Luckily, they have the bye this week. So I want to, wait till basically the next week to see if this is going to be more of an issue or not. But I like what Dallas is doing. Yeah, their defense is leaking against New England, but again, you're going to have that type of games. I feel like they'll bounce back against Minnesota. 6, Green Bay. Again, they're not. Ever since they've beaten the Saints, they haven't. I mean, the only good team they've beaten so far is Cincinnati. Since then, and that was by the skin of their teeth. And it's again they should have. It's again they should have lost in overtime. But so I can't wait to see them get better competition like a Tampa Bay or LA Rams or an Arizona or like something like that. Against the best of the best. But I definitely like the way the Packers have been playing so far. 7, I'm going to go with Buffalo. I'm going to have them as the best 2-loss team right now at this point because, again, they should have won that that Tennessee game on Monday Night Football. I still think they're clearly the dynamic offense, and then their defense, one has a hiccup, but I think usually Buffalo will play better defense than that. For some reason, like even last year in 2020, Tennessee gave them fits on defense, and for some reason, they just can't stop King Henry. 8, I'm going to go with the LA Chargers again. I'm not going to knock them too much for that horrible loss to Baltimore because of what they are already done so far throughout the season. Now, if they have a loss like that again, then it's going to be a concern. But right now, they're still top 10 team to me. 9, I'm going to go with Las Vegas, a 4-2, mainly because they've got a bunch of good ones that they beat in Baltimore. They just beat Denver on the road in the first game, without John Gruden and all that, and they looked pretty good while doing so. And that they definitely have their flaws and all that, but as long as Derek Carr's going, I mean the Raiders can go. And last but not least, I'm going to go with Tennessee 10, 4-2. The only reason they're in my top 10 is because they beat Buffalo, and it's a very key win and all that because their other loss, was against a bad Jets team. So that's why if you want to keep them out of top 10, I wouldn't blame you per se, but I'm going to go with Tennessee there just because that Buffalo one was really good, and I feel like they can get some momentum going. And then some teams on the bubble: Cincinnati 4-2, and then New Orleans 3-2, and then Kansas City, of course, 3-3. So thank you for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and learn about me. Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful day.